This is the Marketing Natives, providing actionable ways to grow, improve, and succeed in your business. And now, your hosts, Christian and Aaron.
Hola and welcome. We are excited today because we have a special guest. But before we begin, I want to say thank you for listening to our show. We really do appreciate that. Today we have Tonya Walker with the Walker Group. The Walker Group are devoted to servicing the needs of real estate buyers and sellers throughout North Dallas. Tonya is a race car collector, entrepreneur, business owner, wife, and mother of 3. Welcome to our show.
Good morning. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. And we've added something as of recently, and by recently, I mean we recorded 2 episodes this time, but for those who are listening, maybe a month or so later, we recorded Larry's and we added this special section. So this is a really good way to kind of like icebreaker and also for you guys to get to know Tonya a little bit more. And this is kind of like a blast from the past, and we're going to use Christian to kind of show you Tonya a picture. And this is also on video too, so we'll let you guys see that as well. But we just wanted to get some questions answered about a particular picture, and so Christian's going to pull it up for you real quick. So it's a little blast from the past picture. So can you let us know about who this is and what this is?
Oh my. Well, that's Ice Cube, or not Ice
Vanilla
Cube,
Ice.
Vanilla Ice. He was in concert over in Frisco, and actually he is a cousin of a client of mine.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys went to the concert, hung out there, and then obviously met Vanilla. I was
Super nice guy. Super nice guy.
Huh.
Yeah.
Dang, that's cool. Yeah. Does he still perform?
He does.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say, this wasn't necessarily a blast from the past from 10 years ago. This was probably 3 or 4 or 5 years ago or something.
I think it was like 4 years ago. Like I said, there was a little place in Frisco that used to do just bands that would come back, and then some, what do they call it? Bands are not bands anymore, but they pretend to be
right.
Yeah. They're
like Journey or whatever.
Yeah, they're like
cover bands, I guess that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Well, I don't go to concerts very often, but anyway, it was very cool to meet him.
Awesome.
Very cool to meet him.
Yeah, I saw that picture and I was like, oh, we should definitely ask her about this.
I totally watched it and I'm like, Ice, somebody.
So, and that's like I said, this was just an icebreaker, and I wasn't trying to be punny or funny at all. So we won't be able to use that again. So, all right. So, but for real, tell us a little bit about the Walker Group.
Well, I'm with Caldwell Banker Apex here in Allen. I have been with Caldwell Banker since I got my license in 2012. Chose Caldwell Banker because they are worldwide.
Wow.
They're not just local. They're not just international or, regional or whatever. They are truly worldwide. And because I've moved around and because we've traveled around the globe, I was really impressed with the fact that their homes that they put on sale in any state, it truly does go worldwide. So I was pretty impressed with that, and I wanted to be able to provide that to my clients.
Awesome. So how did you get started in real estate then?
Oh, wow. Okay, so my background is I was in the legal field for 17 years as a legal assistant paralegal. Loved it. I still miss it. It was very rewarding, and I worked with some amazing law firms and amazing lawyers. Very brilliant minds. And we were moving here through one of our many moves. And after sitting in a car 15 hours every day by myself, looking for properties, some epiphany, if you will, I'm like, it's got to be better than this. And because the other moves were pretty systematic, we had kids, so everybody said, you got to move here, you got to move there, to make sure that we were within a good sell area. And but anyway, it was kind of just this epiphany, and I called my husband and I said, I think I'm changing careers. So
how did he respond to that?
Really? So, but I have to tell you, he was so supportive. So supportive. I hadn't had the mindset of that I was going to do real estate or anything like that, but I just obviously with my background, I'm very into contracts, and understanding the importance of a legal document.
Mm-hmm.
And just that people deserve a better service. Not just to be let. And I literally was left on the front lawn at a property in Plano.
What?
Yeah. They showed me one house and I said, okay, so where are we going next? And the agent says, oh, I don't have any more today to show you. And I went, well, I thought I gave you there was a list, Anyway, my girlfriend and I were standing on the front lawn, watched her drive off, and we both looked at each other like, this really just happened.
Wow.
And so at that point, that's when I started looking for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That is ridiculous to me. I don't understand. Like, oh yeah, this person wants to buy a home. I'm like, this is a client of mine, and I'm just gonna, whatever. Just we'll see you tomorrow, or we'll see you another day. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing you didn't continue to hire that person.
Oh, no.
Well.
No. So it just, that's how it come about, is just making sure that we take care of people, and that's the biggest thing with our group is our people. Our clients. And it's not, our clients are our everything, but it's also our vendors. It's also the people that we work with. You got to take care of people. And if you got the right people on your team, because it's not just who's in my office is our team. I think that it's the people that we surround ourselves as our team, mm-hmm. because they help, whether it's a contractor, whether it's a lawn guy, whether it's, whatever, whomever it may be, insurance. If you find the right group and people that I trust, if I would trust them for my own, then I'm okay with learning more about them and then helping other clients. So I think it's a big team mm-hmm. effort, and making sure that I take care of all of them.
Yeah. And jumping into real estate's, mm-hmm. That's a big jump, especially like you said, luckily your husband was very supportive, because sometimes and actually a lot of times I don't feel like that's the case with mm-hmm. a lot of people. Are like, hey, look, this job brings in money. This one's kind of an mm-hmm. unknown. So jumping in and starting your own business, have you always wanted to start your own business, or was this kind of like,
I like security.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I like very systematic, secure, organized, So this was huge for me. I had no idea really what I was getting myself into. And there's really not anybody that tells you when you start getting into it. And when you talk to people about how do I go about finding someone to mentor me, and that word was, it was a deer in the headlights. People don't understand what a mentor, or they didn't seem to me at the time to understand what a mentor was. And I struggled. And I don't know how people do this business, because I run it as a business. I don't know how they do this and not have the means to get into it, or the support. Because I would have been eating ramen noodle soups if it wasn't for the fact that my husband and I planned, and he supported, and it was great. If it wasn't for him and my kids, Mom, you got this. You can do this. Mm-hmm. Because there's a few times I'm like, I gave up a really good career. It was tough. It was tough, and I support anybody that wants to get into doing their own business, because it is hard, to make that vision into a reality, and then to make it profitable.
Right. I was going to say that's the one thing, like taking the leap's one thing, and then to be able to sustain it. And you've been doing now for 7 years. Is it 7 years? Close?
Right at 7 years.
Getting close to it. So,
yeah. And in between there, it was quite a few hurdles. I ended up with a dissection of the carotid artery.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I was really sick there for a while. And the artery split. And it's kind of crazy.
That's scary.
Yeah. For those who are watching, just a little they can see our faces. For those who can't, you can guess on our faces. This is not. How did that happen?
Just crazy headaches. Anyway, I won't go through all of it, but just like in anybody else's life, you have trials or things happen. It's life. Mm-hmm. When you own your own business, you don't have that luxury of calling in sick. Mm-hmm. And so that was really tough, not to have anybody and I had a platform of clients that I was working with, and I am a very private person when it comes to certain things. And I couldn't get over the headaches. They just weren't going away. And anyway, long story short, my admin at the time, she done a quick class and got her license. Like she went through the quick course, whatever, just to get licensed so that she could help me.
Wow. That's dedication right there.
Right.
That's really cool. So you've been doing this for a while now. What do you think it's some of the things that you enjoy most about what you do right now?
Meeting people and meeting their family that they refer me to, or their friends that they refer me to, or being invited to their home to have a cup of tea, or to call me and have me to go out to dinner with them.
Like this is after the fact, or that's cool.
During and after. I think that's to me, it's a huge high honor to be remembered.
Mm-hmm.
And then just to get the hugs, whether it's from the kids, saying thank you for their new bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
Or just helping them get through the process, and bringing some comfort to them.
Dang. I was going to say, and that's what you are doing is, it's the biggest investment or biggest purchase rather that most people will make. So that's huge for them. Like you said, somebody's switching from an apartment. And they're like, yes, this lady helped us get a bedroom, which is a very impactful time for people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
As far as being an entrepreneur, like you mentioned earlier, you didn't necessarily, you kind of, you forced yourself outside of that. You were happy, you were comfortable in one spot. So if you couldn't go back to be a paralegal, I'm going to frame this to where you have to answer a certain way or a different way. If you couldn't go back to being a paralegal and you couldn't be an entrepreneur, what would you be? What would you want to do?
Oh, good question. There's so many things that you want to do. I'd probably work on either planting plants because I like to work in the yard, or working on cars. And I know that's kind of a broad spectrums.
Yeah, that's completely different spectrums there.
But we enjoy. I enjoy being in the yard. No, there's no we to that. But we enjoy garage time.
So I think the very first time that Aaron talked about you, he was like, "Oh, she's such a cool lady, and she collects race cars." I'm like, "What?" That was like such a weird thing. Like I've never heard of anyone collecting race cars. But that was like one of the biggest things that I think impacted like Aaron whenever he met you the first time. Like, yeah, she's a really cool lady, and she like does something with race cars, collects them. Can you tell us more about that, or how did that start?
Well, we don't technically collect them. We race them.
Okay.
My husband and our middle son actually build them.
Oh wow.
They are amazing to watch. If you ever want to watch people just do things that you just go, wow. That's something that a big production company would do. But they have built, we have a lathe, which is a machine that can actually cut metals. And so they will build pieces and parts, and my husband is a engineer.
Oh, okay.
So he is very, down to the minute, where I'm the one that hammers something up on the wall and doesn't worry about measuring it. He's like, I'm like, okay, just hammer it up there.
Right.
But I grew up with motorcycles. I was my dad's shadow and whatever. So I've raced and rode motorcycles my whole life. And I have this real problem with speed.
DFW is a bad place to be for.
Hence why I drive a mama mobile now, because I don't want to get in trouble. But we took it to the tracks. We've had drag bikes, motorcycles. We've both had street bikes. But now our kids have never had motorcycles.
Really?
We've given them the opportunity to learn, and watching them, we said, no, you don't have it, because either you have it or you don't. It's not something that you can take classes and courses and all of that, but either you have it or you don't. A motorcycle is it's a machine.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to learn, you got to know there's just so much more to it. So anyway, we took it to the tracks. And so we drag raced motorcycles all over the country. Florida, Kansas, Atlanta. I mean, we were all over the place. Some little bitty podunk little areas that didn't have a turnaround. So anyway, he decided that, and his whole dream was always to have drag cars. And so we got rid of all the motorcycles in the last couple of years, and now we've got 2 race cars.
Interesting. Has that ever been always a hobby, not necessarily like hey, let's make a business out of this? Or
No, it's a hobby.
It's a hobby.
Yeah, there's not I mean, it'd be great a few years ago if we could have turned it into something more business-wise, but and you could, I guess, but it's just not. It's more of a hobby. We just enjoy, doing it. That's the relaxation for my husband and my son.
Right. At that point, it probably turns into like, now this seems like work. I don't enjoy it as much versus like.
Well, it's a little different out here. It's 100 degrees.
Yes.
So if
it's going to be 100 degrees. I don't know. It's 91 right now, and it's
so
barely noon.
If it's 90 here, it's even more so on the track.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it usually, and here in the Texas, Dallas area, if you will, we don't start racing until 6 p.m.
Oh.
And then we'll go until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning because it's the heat index
so hot.
is too much.
Well, even at 6 o'clock, it's still pretty dang warm.
I know.
Yeah.
Dang. So you said you kind of did some quotes over here of the Mama Mobile. Like, what did you used to drive, or what would you be driving if there's nobody else on the road and it was just you driving? You're regular.
Cadillac V.
A what?
A Cadillac V.
Okay.
CTSV.
Yeah, I know it very well.
The Corvette Z06, Mustang GT. That's what my kids grew up in.
That's what you're dropping them off at the school, like, hey,
that's what they grew up in, and then all of a sudden, I changed careers, and now I'm driving a crossover. So.
Dang. Well, that's true though. You put on a lot of miles with real estate, just taking people to locations and stuff. So
I do.
You don't want to put on.
Make them feel safe, and more importantly, comfortable. And then you got to make sure that every person can get into the car. And I don't have
flip up the seat and
it's got to be comfortable for them.
Butterfly doors.
Right. Yeah. See, that's very comfortable. We definitely.
I know it's comfortable for me.
Yeah. No,
I'll get you there fast.
Yes. Don't worry. We're going to see all these listings within probably about 2 or 3 hours. How is that possible? Don't worry. Just jump in. Don't worry. No, I've rode with you, and I felt very safe. But we only did go about a mile and a half. We went a mile and a half. Maybe a mile. It was just like from your office to a shoot. So now that I know this, I didn't know that about you before. So I'm
safe.
Yeah, and I always put on my seatbelt, so I feel like I'm safe.
I'm not an aggressive driver.
Okay.
Just a defensive driver. Where you're watching other people, and that's how we raised our boys. To always watch your mirrors, always watch. So it's just paying attention and
being present.
Whether you're driving in life, whatever.
Yeah, that's very true. You just have more of a lead foot with it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, not. But I've never gotten a ticket.
What?
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, this is not real wood. I don't know what this is, but knock on something. Wow. Never had.
I don't know.
You've been pulled over. It's just right. What?
Wow. This is like the complete opposite spectrum right here.
Yeah.
Aaron gets tickets.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. Hey, knock on wood. I haven't had one for like 7 or 8 months. Okay.
I don't know how or
That's impressive.
Yeah, the only time that I've ever had a ticket was when we moved here. As a matter of fact, I didn't realize I had to have a sticker in my window.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm real finicky about things being on my car.
Yeah.
And in other states, they're on the back of the license plate.
Yeah, right.
And I don't like them on the window because I think it's obstructive view and it just doesn't look pretty.
That's the real thing. It just doesn't look good.
So they did ask, so they kind of got on to me then. And when I explained it to them, they laughed at me and says, well, you have to have it. So I had to go get and I didn't have to pay anything. I just had to go get my little window sticker.
Dang. All right. So guys, we'll have her back on the episode. So maybe 10 or 20 years from now, if she ever gets a ticket, we're going to have her come back on so we can talk about that experience. As far as 2019, we're about halfway through 2019, and you can answer this question for the first part of 2020. What is the rest of 2019, the early part of 2020? What does that look like for the Walker Group? What do you guys envision?
Good question. I'm looking to grow. I would love to expand with a couple more people on our team, but they got to be the right people.
Like agents or okay.
I would love to have a couple of agents on our team that want to be on our team.
Yeah.
No, I'm not looking just for warm bodies, but somebody that truly wants to be a part of what we believe in, and that's the client.
Very good. Yeah, definitely in this market, I think it's hard to find. It's not hard to find. It's just, yeah, it is harder. It's harder to find the right people and the right people to stick around because most places are hiring or most places are doing this. So like to find the right people. I mean, I know that we had the same issue of like, okay, how many people do we have to interview to be able to really hire one person? And then are they the right person?
Right. Right. Just got to be the right fit and somebody that wants to work. That's what the admin that I am so blessed to have on our team, she's been with me for over 3 years. And she understands why I do what I do and how we do it and why it's so important, which is a godsend for her to understand that. And when you're interviewing people or just having that conversation with people, and whether it's in real estate or in other facets of professions, you kind of get the sense that it's a me conversation. It's about what's in it for me. And that's just not how I roll. And that really is a turnoff to me when I'm discussing the opportunity to bring somebody on board.
Yeah. So shout out to Kat. We interact with Kat a lot. She's amazing. So there you go, Kat. That was your one shout out for the show.
I want to ask this. What do you think it's something that you've you've failed at, and how did you learn from it? Could be business, could be life, could be anything.
Well, I don't know if I would call it failures. I call it, oops.
I like that.
Or just the fact that they're lessons. I mean, fail as a parent sometimes, or you think you do, and then all of a sudden you go, oh my gosh, who are you? But as far as business goes, I think one thing that I had a hard time with in this business was staying in my lane. So when you get in, you've got all these voices talking to you of, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this. Well, I'm very naive, so I don't know what all this is, but okay, they said I got to do it. And I have spent thousands of dollars listening to everybody else, and it didn't generate opportunity or just provide the right platform. And then just being bullied by people in, whether it be another agent or someone looking for a quote unquote discount. I had a hard time with that because I want to give I'll give the kitchen sink away if I think that it's going to help you. And I had to learn that I was being taken advantage of quite a bit.
Seems like a very cutthroat industry to be in. And you talked about mentorship earlier in the show, and how difficult it was to get that going. I don't want to say we've had the same struggles, but it is something that's important to us as well, is, being educated on, those things and how to actually do them properly, which we've had some sort of mentorship, but at the same time, we've had to go through, different things and learn and trial and error, and figure out what's actually going to work, what's going to move the needle compared to other things. So,
and I think everybody has to in every profession. I think that, and this is my own personal opinion, but I think, and I sense, and I've learned in this realm of profession. I don't know that a lot of people look at it as a profession.
What do you think? What do you
that
think?
It's just quick. It's just we don't have a whether it's the professionals themselves or the perception of others looking at a real estate agent as somebody just there for us to do a document or open up a door.
Really? Well,
which I was a little offensive,
Yeah.
when I first got it. I'm like, wait, what do you mean? Because there's a lot to it. I'm putting my neck on the line every time that I help somebody, whether I am opening up a door, but a contract and all the documents thereafter, it's a legal binding document.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just something simplistic to me.
Right.
And you got to really pay attention to it. And then just making sure that you're protecting your client in all facets. But in covering and carrying yourself as a professional.
I guess I haven't looked at it that way, just because when I've gotten to the age of even looking at real estate, I've already, talked to people or seen people that were, a good role model. And then just learning a lot from just talking with you about the way that this is supposed to be done. And I don't know. It's good to hear, or it's good to, I guess, see a reality check that, that's the way that some people look at it. But, at least you've done a good job, at least, of educating me of like how, it's a rough position, I guess, to be in, like you said, and putting yourself out on the line and showing people's homes and all the hours, and you have to a showing after this episode. So if anything, it's, more than a job. That's like it's literally a lifestyle. You have to really love it to be able to stay in something like this versus, hey, I'm going to do one real estate deal a year and, I'm just going to sell one home. That's not, that's probably the people that I would consider like, okay, you have your license, but you're not really doing anything.
There's some amazing agents out there. So I want to make sure I make that clear. There are some amazing agents, whether they're new, whether they're veterans. There's some people that are in the community that are in the state that are, and that's one thing that I did when I was struggling is I kind of just started researching people. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, everybody can't just be.
Yeah, not everybody's the best, right?
So I just started researching and I really put on the hat of what I would do when I was in a law firm. So how did I put together a team when I was getting ready for a big project? Or how did the attorneys have me do that? So different things. So I actually started developing my company as I would a law firm.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then I started researching other agents and really paying attention to how professional they were or weren't. Just again, like I said, it's not just real estate. It's in every profession. You have good, bad. Not everybody graduated at the top of their class.
Right. Well, and I think that structure
understanding that
helped you to create a successful agency just because having that structure, or the people that you're talking about, I guess, who are good, they figure out a way that there is a structure, there is a way that they do things that are consistent for their clients. And that's what, being the experience that you had allowed you to, set forth to be successful from the beginning because there were certain systems in place, the certain consistencies. And I feel like the people who don't put those in place, those are the ones that are going back and forth. And you may have a great experience over here. And then 3 other customers are like, no, this was the worst person ever. Right. So maybe the paralegal was just a prep before you got into this.
Maybe so.
And that's this question right here that we have. To what do you attribute your success? Do you think your background helped with that, or is there something else that you think?
The number one is the Lord, because I don't do any of this by myself. Whether it's my husband, whether it's my kids, because sometimes I honestly go, how am I doing what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. And I read and I study and I go to schools and I'm constantly educating. But the amount of hours that I pull, even just understanding what to do on certain situations, but just in general, I couldn't do any of this. I wouldn't be doing any of this if there wasn't a plan.
Yep. Heck yeah. And that's the best part is like you don't necessarily know the plan. You're just kind of following.
I just do. That's why I said stay in your lane. That's my biggest thing when I talk to anybody, but just especially agents. Stay in your lane. If this is what you're supposed to be doing, it'll work out.
Yeah. And
I always tell Catherine, because the market changes, life changes, things happen. Roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
It'll work out the way it's supposed to, as long as we're doing what's right for the right reasons, not for self, but for the right reasons, and putting our clients number one. Then it'll work out, and it has. And
yep.
we have double and tripled every year.
Awesome.
So
I did not know that, but that's very cool. And I think that's true with almost anything. Most people are like, or would answer and say the exact same if they believe that. But I think when people start running into a problem is when they say like, oh, we're going to do the right thing 98% of the time or 95% of the time, instead of like, no, literally every decision you make, it's not that hard to choose the right option. It's
not.
So
the hardest thing for me is to make sure that I am choosing the right, not for that I'm not choosing the right option, because it's making sure, am I doing everything I can? That's when I lose sleep.
All right. So for this section, this is something that I get the most out of, because it's very interesting and probably something that we spend the most money on. But we're going to kind of shift gears here to something that's more not, what is the right word? Not I'm thinking of like tools or innovation. What is I don't know.
No idea.
Can't think of the word. We'll figure it out later. Anyway, so the question is, what purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life in the last 6 months or recent memory?
$100?
$100 or less.
Oh, I'm ready for that one. Is there anything that I can buy for $100?
Right, yeah. It's like you can almost get a full tank of gas.
Ooh, that's a good one. Impacted my life or people around me?
It could be anything. So anything that you've purchased.
Well, my Starbucks impacts my life quite well. Daily.
Starbucks, please let us know whenever you make some ad royalties off of this. Thank you.
$100 or less. That's a really good question. I am stumped on this, because I'm sure that, and I'm pretty frugal.
Right, so you probably had like 20 purchases of $30 or something.
I know.
Well, we can think about that and come back.
Think about that.
All right, so this is
another good one.
It is another good one, but you may be able to. This gives you a little longer time span to answer this question. All right, in the last 5 years, what's a belief, behavior, or habit that has most improved your life? You get 5 years to go back for this one.
My faith is stronger, and making sure I take the time for studying, reading, and paying attention to my family. Those are huge. Just because you get so wound up with work. And I was always a good mom when they were younger, but now that they're older, everybody kind of goes their own separate way, and you kind of forget that you're mom.
Right. So you're an empty nester at this point.
Oh, very much so, and it's so nice.
Right.
But
she loves you guys.
Oh, but no, I love our family, but just, as far as, for me, is spending that time studying the word in the mornings. That's made a huge impact in my life. It keeps me grounded. It helps me be fresh and know that whatever comes our way that day, it's good.
Have you, we were speaking earlier, and you do work a lot of hours, and there's a lot of work. How do you manage all these aspects of your life. I mean, you love gardening, for example. We were just talking about that earlier. How do you make time for the important things, or the things that are important for you in your life? Do you have any tips, tricks, or anything like that? Or is it just kind
of... Just having a really good husband and just very supportive,
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. We enjoy each other's conversation, and he's a professional, and he travels and he works, so we both work a lot. But when we're together, it's kind of funny. We vent, talk, and then we're just there. So it's just nice to be, But he's super chill. So if I need to go put something in like I've got a tree or a plant or something, I need to go repot, I just go run out and repot it, and then I'm back out the door. It's like, so there's not like a whole lot of hours that I have or days off that I necessarily have. But if I can have a couple hours, whether he and I run to the movies on a Saturday evening, that's kind of cool and bonus for us.
Nice.
And if I can spend a little bit of time with my boys, come over for dinner. I don't cook as much as I used to, but I do ever so often. Or if we just grab something and we're just together.
Right.
That's kind of where we're really excited I want to hear about their days and their lives and what they've got going on, which is...
So you mentioned that time of the conversation back and forth, and then you're just chilling, which made me think of like Netflix. Do you guys have Netflix?
We do have Netflix.
Okay. So what's something that you guys are like currently binging right now?
Sneaky Pete.
Sneaky Pete?
Yeah.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
What is Sneaky
we're
Pete?
On season 3.
Wow.
Season 3 just come out.
What is Sneaky Pete?
You have to watch it. I can't tell you.
You can't tell me any plot.
He's kind of a card shark. I don't even know what you want to call him, but he's just very manipulative kind of guy that all of a sudden he was in jail some time ago with this guy that told him all about his family in Connecticut or wherever it was. And so he found out that there's money. So he was going after the money, but ends up seemingly fell in love with the family. And so he's helped them out of quite a few jams in the midst of trying to get this money.
Is it set back in a certain time period? No, it's like, okay.
No, but there's all kinds of crazy twists and turns. And
is it like a Netflix original, or was this on TV somewhere and then Netflix just kind of picked it up?
You're asking me questions about
Okay.
no
I need these probing questions to be able to see.
I would have to text one of my sons because I go, what is this?
Yeah.
And how do I turn this on?
Yeah. So I go to Netflix and I watch Sneaky Pete. That's all that's what I do.
I can get it on my phone if we're traveling or whatever, but I don't. Our Billions, we've watched that.
I've heard that's really good. That's been on top of my list for.
But our binges are not like everybody else's. Everybody else can get like hours and days to watch this stuff.
Oh yeah,
we may watch one and then 3 weeks later we'll watch another, or something like that.
Yeah, they watch a recap every single time.
That's what happened that last
time. It's like a new season every time we watch it.
Yeah. This is great. Plus the show, if it has like 4 seasons, you're like, this is great for the next couple of years. Right. We're going to be awesome.
Yeah.
As far as the business, rather, or jumping back to the business, what is something that you wish you would have known before you jumped into real estate, made that leap of faith? What is something you were like, oh, I should have done this? I know you said that you should have stayed in your lane, but was there anything else that you were like, okay, if I would have just known that, hey, if I just show these types of houses or just work with these kind of people or anything, was there anything that you wish you would have known before you jumped into that?
I wish that I knew that I wasn't going to make any money. So, literally, I interviewed with the manager and I said, okay, so I understand that part of it's, commission. So what is the salary? And he goes, there's not any salary. And I'm like, huh? So that tells you how naive I was.
Like $0. $0.
Yeah, nothing. So I kind of wish I had, even though I was top in the class and all of that, I still somewhere missed the fact that I wasn't going to make any money.
They probably didn't really talk about that too much.
They skimmed right through that. I was more into all of the logistics about everything. know that I would change a whole lot, because I think that's what got me where I am. You know, when I first started out, I mean, I really didn't. We're not from here. I don't have a sphere here. I didn't come. You know, my kids aren't in school, so I don't have that network anymore.
No connections that way, right?
I have no friends. I had nobody. You know, and it was kind of like, oh, this is how this. Yeah, and everybody else, you know, has the schools or their sphere. So that was probably one of the really tough ones, is figuring out how to make that friend thing going on. But I think that I don't know that I would change a ton, because to me, if I'd have got into it too quick, I don't know that I would have appreciated it as much as I do now.
That's a good point. And you can't really necessarily do anything about not being from the area. Like, that's not a...
Can't. I mean, it's just
I wish I would have known that I had to move to a new area sooner.
Right.
Like,
you know, but just learning how to deal with that, you know, and again, watching people, and I'm like, how do you do it? How are you doing this? You know, kind of thing. But probably having a little bit more courage, or a little bit more confidence in that I could go out and do things, because I did kind of lag that first year, because I was a little nervous, because everything to me was very again, legal minded, and it needed to be ducks in a row. Everything had to be precise before I would even go out and talk to anybody.
right.
And everybody's like, okay, you got to get out there. And I'm like, but I don't want to get out there,
Right.
because I'm not ready.
Well, your paperwork was like pristine, but the
my
people
office was the most organized office ever.
like,
you know,
come over to my office. You should pick somebody based off the office. Come over and check it out.
I had binders, and everything was all, you know, but
Perfect.
I didn't have any clients.
Right. Like, oh, then I have to mess with, you know, real people, messy people. So it's like their life could be, you know, meeting them where they're at, kind of.
When I was fine with all of that, I just wanted to make sure I had the right answers.
Okay.
That was where my hesitation was. I didn't mind meeting people, and I didn't mind getting out there and getting my hands dirty or anything else that I need to do. It was, if somebody come at me with a question,
You don't know.
I
the
didn't want to
answer.
go,
Let me get back to you.
right. And that was always what they said, to get back. And I'm going, well, how many times I got to tell them I got to get back to them, you know, because I didn't know anything.
Just send me your list of questions prior to us meeting, and I will. I'll make sure to have them written out to you.
Exactly.
All right, so we're going to come back to this question, your $100 question. Well, it's not a $100 question. It could be. I mean, it's worth. We could give points in this podcast episode. You're at about 900 right now. This will hit you over at 1,000 if you answer the question. But okay, so $100 purchase or less that's most positively impacted your life in the last 6 months, and just to give you some cues or like some things that other people have said. One guy actually told us that he bought something for his kid that saved him on potty training, so that was very impactful.
Funny.
Yeah. Another person has said something like a book. Book didn't give it. And one other person was they're debt free now, so they did like a Dave Ramsey course and did that. So
Tennis
it really could,
Tennis shoes
tennis shoes, yeah.
was one of them.
Nice.
So it really could be anything. They're just like, wow, this just makes my life better, and I'm glad that I bought it.
Still waiting. One, I don't go shopping a whole lot. But I don't know. Usually, if anything, I buy anything, it's for the kids or somebody else. I guess I would have to say probably my last shopping spree, my most inexpensive, was my son and I went down to Dallas, and we spent a few hours together. And it cost us minimal to get on a train, and we went to the art museum, which was $0.
Which art museum?
The Dallas Art Museum. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome. And so, yeah, that was under...
Definitely.
Way under
Yeah,
$100.
yeah, and that was so impactful.
And
Super impactful.
And does your son lives in the area then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do all
but
three of them?
No, I've got 2 sons that live here.
Okay.
But just, again, spending that time together, he and I hadn't got to do that in years. I mean, we see each other for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Everybody
cool.
else
That's
is
just
around.
everybody. You know, so that was a bonus.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has been the most economical purchase that we've heard on the
right?
podcast.
Yep.
No, that's great. That's
No.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. And Tonya, what's the best way? How can our audience find out more about you?
We have a website, tonya.walkerdfw.com. We're also on Facebook, and usually that's much easier to get a hold of us because you can message us, and you can always call or text or email, whatever's the most convenient. And again, it's tonya@walkerdfw.com.
Awesome. And we'll have in the show notes, we'll also have her social media, her website. We'll give you her text or her phone number on there. So just make sure you text her 2, 3, 4 a.m. She would love that. Just kidding.
Actually, I have.
Okay.
Well,
we can edit this part out, Tonya. Don't put yourself out there. There's going to be some people. But if this is your first time listening, thank you. We really appreciate it. This is a special episode. Most of the time we're doing topical tips on what to do with social media or marketing. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything that's timely and you can stay ahead of the competition. We do want to give a special shout out to Tonya with the Walker Group and coming on here. These are really fun episodes for us. And if you liked this episode, please go over to iTunes and leave us an honest rating and review. Give a shout out to Tonya there so we can continue to bring you guys quality podcasts. All right, we'll talk to you next week.
The Marketing Natives Podcast is a production of Bit Branding.